name is Douglas Block. I'm an author and depression survivor. Welcome to your Depression Recovery channel, where each week we talk about practical tools and coping strategies for healing from depression and anxiety. Today's topic is based on a New York Times article that recently came out. The title reads, U.S. suicide rates surged to a 30-year high. Now, as I was putting together this video, there was a crash of an Egyptian airline that killed 66 people as it plunged into the Mediterranean. And a lot of people right now are trying to figure out the causes of this crash and lamenting the deaths of the people. But while the world is trying to understand and learn about the cause of this tragedy, another tragedy is taking place without fanfare or notice. On the day that the airline crashed, 115 people in America died by suicide, took their own lives. And we don't need a team of experts to determine this cause. The cause was that of mental illness, specifically depression in 90% of the cases. According to the article, suicide has now surpassed breast cancer as a cause of death in America. While about 40,000 people die of breast cancer yearly, in 2014, 42,773 people died of suicide, according to the Centers for Disease Control. That's about one death every 12 minutes. And while the plane crash I spoke of may not have been preventable, suicide is most definitely preventable if the underlying depression is treated. How can we reduce the incidence of suicide in this country? One way is to talk about depression and suicide in order to remove the stigma surrounding these conditions. I know of a family whose son committed suicide, and they kept it hidden because they were afraid they would be judged, and so would the son. Yet, depression, like cancer, can be considered a terminal illness. No one judges a person who dies of pancreatic cancer, so why should we judge a person who dies because their pain was so overwhelming that they couldn't continue? A second way to reduce the incidence of suicide is to make mental health services more available. In our country, we seem to pay more attention to physical health than to mental health. For example, in Portland, we have an excellent network of clinics called Zoom Care, where you can get on-demand health care, walk into a clinic, and be seen the same day. Imagine now if there were a chain of clinics called Mind Care, where you could walk in and get a same-day appointment with a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a counselor, a social worker, etc. Here in Portland, we have a health insurance called Kaiser Permanente. It's a really good insurance, but you have to wait 3 weeks to see a counselor. And finding a psychiatrist is even more difficult. Sometimes you have to wait 4 or 5 months to get an appointment. That's if you're lucky enough to find a psychiatrist who's even taking on new clients. Imagine if there were a clinic where you could walk in and the same day get seen. Because, you know, when people have crises sometimes, when they're in crisis, they can't wait 3 weeks or 3 months. They have to be seen now. And having a clinic like Mind Care to help see people would be really, really good if we can create that. A third way to decrease suicide rates is to call upon the federal and the state governments to spend more money on mental health services. Imagine if the $1 trillion we spent on the Iraq War were funded into supporting community mental health clinics across the country. This is why it's important to join organizations like NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, and AFSP, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and become an advocate and lobby the state and federal governments to provide more money for mental health. Speaking of mental health services, I just ran into an article yesterday, June 15, 2016, that was quite amazing. It was about how Facebook, the company Facebook, is actually engaging in this cause of suicide prevention. And let me read from the article. It's called A Lifeline for Friends, Facebook Friends. Menlo Park, California. When Carrie Simmons opened her Facebook application one day in late 2014, she saw a status update from a high school friend whom she hadn't seen in years. It read like a suicide note. Thank you for everyone who really tried to help me, Miss Simmons' friend said, whom she declined to name. Miss Simmons immediately called a mutual friend, a police officer, who reached out to the local authorities in their friend's town in California. There, the police found the friend in a parked car with a pistol in his lap. He did not pull the trigger, and he is alive today. With more than 1.68 billion members worldwide posting regularly about their behavior, Facebook is planning to take a more direct route in stopping suicide. On Tuesday, in the biggest step by any major technology company to incorporate suicide prevention into its platform, the social network introduced mechanisms and processes to make it easier for people to help friends who post messages that might be about suicide or self-harm. So it goes on to say about all the techniques and features that Facebook is developing to identify at-risk people. And I think that's really amazing because, again, 1.6 billion users, that's a lot of social connections and a lot of really good prevention that can be done. So congratulations to Facebook, and I hope that other technology companies, maybe like Apple, who knows who, will follow suit and do some of the same stuff. I would like to conclude this video on suicide prevention on a personal note. Suicide has touched my life in many ways. To begin, the last 3 depressive episodes I've had, I have been majorly suicidal myself, although I've never made any direct attempts. Thank goodness. But I have lost many friends and loved ones to suicide, including a therapist who I deeply cared about, my roommate, someone who was in my depression support group, a high school friend, a mother of one of my students, and of course, Robin Williams, who I didn't know personally, but we all felt connected to around the world. A big loss for all of us. This has been Douglas Bloch. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something from it. If you want to learn more about my work, you can go to healingfromdepression.com. If you want to give me some feedback, you can go ahead and either email me, douglasbloch@gmail.com, or you can write in the comments section. And again, to learn more about my work, simply click on the links in the closing credits and you'll be taken to various sites, including how to subscribe to this channel. And until we meet again, I wish you the best in your mental health recovery. Thank you.